به اسمت قسم تو قلبم حرم داری دوست دارم و میدونم دوستم داری به همه میگم که مادرمی.
Some people think that Islam is limited only to Arabs and only to the Iranians and the Persians. Sometimes the contribution of Indian Muslims, of African Muslims to Islam is overlooked. The first people to raise their voice were the Indian Muslims. And that is why we call it yawme gham. What is this yawme gham all about? As one of the young boys was asking me after the Jumu'ah prayers, what is yawme gham? We know that in 1925, the Wahhabis demolished Jannatul Baqi mausoleums and tombs. They said, no, we do not believe in building anything above the graves. We do not believe in visitation of the graves, in ziyarah of the graves. Why? Because this is shirk. So on 21st of April 1925, which is the same as 8th of Shawwal 1345 after Hijrah, the shrines that were there in Jannatul Baqi were demolished. When this happened, the first people to raise their voices were the Indian Muslims. Many times, some people think that Islam is limited only to Arabs and only to the Iranians and the Persians. Sometimes the contribution of Indian Muslims, of African Muslims to Islam is overlooked. The first people to raise their voice were the Indian Muslims. And that is why we call it yawme gham. Because in Arabic you don't say yawme gham. In Arabic, today they call this day Yawmul Baqi al-Alami, the International Day of Baqi, the remembrance of Baqi. And if it was Farsi, if it was Persian, they would say Ruze Andu or Ruze Gham. When you hear Yawme Gham, that itself is proof that this was something initiated by the Indians. They raised their voice and everybody supported them. This is the day we commemorate this demolition. Now, first let us ask ourselves the questions, why did they demolish these shrines? They said it is against Islam. Why is it against Islam? Because when you go to do the ziyarah of those who have already died, that is a form of shirk. These people, no matter how illustrious their personalities were in their lifetimes, they are dead and buried. Why are you going to their graves? That is their question. So when you ask them that if they were alive, would you permit us to go to them? Say yes, if they were alive, you can go and ask them for dua. But they are dead and buried. There is no need to go to them now. So then we come to them and say, if that is your argument, then you are wrong, because in your very books and your very scholars have said that they are alive. They are alive. First and foremost, the Holy Quran clearly says, وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتًا. Never assume those who have been slain in the way of Allah that they are dead. Never think that. بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ يُرْزَقُونَ. They are alive. And we know that all the A'immah and all the Ma'sumin of Baqi are shuhada, so they are alive. That is what the Quran says. But they want to misinterpret that verse, so let us go into their own books. One of my teachers gave me this example. He said, he's a very senior person in the Hawza. He said that I had gone for Hajj, and those who have been for Hajj know this. You cannot approach the graves, you cannot go for ziyarah, because they immediately stop you and they say shirk and so on and so forth. He said one of the scholars who was standing there, their own senior scholars, tried to prevent me from doing the ziyarah of Rasulullah. So I said, why are you stopping me from the ziyarah of the Holy Prophet? He said, Mat, he's dead. Why are you going to him? So he said that, do you follow Nasiruddin Albani. Nasiruddin Albani, by the way, is one of the senior most Wahhabi scholars of hadith. He has passed away, but senior most scholars of hadith, Nasiruddin Albani. So he asks him, do you believe in the writings of Nasiruddin Albani? He said, yes, obviously he's one of our great scholars. He says, Nasiruddin Albani has a book in which he has compiled all the Sahih hadith. And in that book he has written one hadith. He says, Al-Anbiya ahya'un fi quburihim yusallun. Prophets are alive in their graves, they pray to Allah inside their graves. And he says, now that you are telling me that you believe in what this man says, how can you tell me, Mat, he's dead, he's dead? He's alive, according to your own books. So first and foremost, we counter their arguments with their own books, and we show them that you are wrong. Even in what you believe, you are wrong. And then we ask ourselves this question, that why do we need to venerate the graves of the awliya? Why is it that we need to visit the graves of the awliya? What is the importance of ziyarah? Why ziyarah? So we answer this question with 4 points. Number one, it is a natural remembrance of somebody who has died. When you love someone and they have died, you visit their graves. When we say natural, it means it transcends the boundaries of religion. That means whether you are a Muslim or a Christian or even an atheist, you would go to the grave of someone whom you love. Why? Because it is a natural inclination. Number one. Number two, it is the sunnah of the Prophet. It is a prophetic practice to visit the graves. When the son of the Holy Prophet, Ibrahim was his name, in infancy, at a young age, when he died, the Prophet would visit his grave and he would weep. It is sunnah of the Prophet to visit the grave. Number three, there is a link between the person who has died and the soul of that person. So the grave contains the body of the person, and the soul of the person has left that body, but there is still a link between the two. How do we know this? We know this because when we enter the qabristan, what do we say? We say salam, isn't it? Why are you saying salam? Aren't they all dead? Aren't the arwah somewhere else? No. There is still a link. We do not understand it until we go on that side, then we'll understand what the story is. We do not understand it, but there is a link still between that body and the soul. There is a link. And that is why when we had gone to Najaf al-Ashraf and we went to the graveyard known as Wadi al-Salam, and it is said whoever is buried in Wadi al-Salam, Jannah is obligatory on that person. Somebody comes and asks, if that is the case, what if a sinner is buried in Wadi al-Salam? Person has sinned his whole life and he writes in his will, I wish to be buried in Wadi al-Salam. It's very simple. The hadith tells us what will happen to that person. They will come and bury him in Wadi al-Salam. The moment they leave, the malaika will come, take out his body and take it where it belongs. That is what happens. Why? Because there is still a link between the body and the soul. We do not understand it. So number three, there is a link. That is why we go to the qabr, because we believe that is the link between us and the soul of the departed person. And number four, and this fourth point is applicable only to the awliya, only to the ma'sumin. And that is the verse that we recited from the Holy Quran, from Surah Al-Hajj, verse number 32, in which Allah Azza wa Jal says, ذَلِكَ وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. They are the signs of Allah, the sha'air of Allah. That is why we venerate them. We show respect. We go to their graves because they are the awliya of Allah Azza wa Jal. And these are the four reasons why we visit the graves. These are the four reasons why we go for ziyarah.
ای وای مادرم نفسی لك الفدا